I was standing at my front door with Tyler's birthday present in my hands, a red bicycle with training wheels he'd been asking for all month, when my phone buzzed with a message that made my blood run cold. The text was from Michael, my son. "Dad, Vanessa thinks it would be better if we keep Tyler's party small this year. Just immediate family. Her parents are already here helping set up." I read it 3 times, my grip tightening on the bike's handlebars until my knuckles turned white. Immediate family! I was his grandfather. What else was I supposed to be? Before we continue, I want to thank you for being here. If this story resonates with you, please share your thoughts in the comments below and let me know where you're listening from. The morning had started so differently. I'd been up since 6, wrapping Tyler's gifts with the careful attention I'd learned over 65 years of life. The bike was the centerpiece, but I'd also bought him the complete Lego space station set he'd shown me on his tablet last week, his eyes wide with 5-year-old wonder. My late wife, Patricia, would have loved seeing his face when he opened these presents. She'd been gone for 2 years now, but I still caught myself thinking about what she'd say, what she'd do. I set the bike down carefully against the wall and walked to my kitchen window, looking out at the quiet suburban street I'd lived on for 30 years. Mrs. Chen across the way was watering her roses. Everything looked normal, peaceful, like the world hadn't just shifted beneath my feet. I texted back with shaking fingers. "I'm Tyler's grandfather. I thought I was immediate family." The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, "You know what I mean, Dad. Vanessa's parents flew in from San Diego. It would be awkward having too many grandparents. We'll do something with you next weekend." Too many grandparents. The phrase burned in my chest like acid. I'd been watching Tyler 3 days a week since he was born. I'd taught him to ride his first tricycle. I'd read him bedtime stories when Michael and Vanessa needed date nights. I'd paid for their house. That last thought stopped me cold. The house in Northeast Portland, the one with the big backyard perfect for a growing family. The $100,000 down payment that came from my retirement savings. Money Patricia and I had built over 40 years of careful planning. Money I'd given freely because Michael said they'd never qualify for a mortgage without it. I walked to my office, the room Patricia used to call my command center, and pulled out the file cabinet. My fingers found the folder marked Michael's house, and I spread the documents across my desk. There it was. The deed with my name as co-owner. The agreement we'd signed that they'd refinance within 2 years to remove me. That deadline had passed 6 months ago. "We've just been so busy, Dad," Michael had said when I'd asked about it. "We'll get to it soon. Does it really matter? You trust us, right?" I did trust them. Or I had. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a notification from Facebook. Vanessa had posted photos. I opened the app with a sense of dread that proved accurate. There was Tyler, beaming in front of a massive dinosaur-themed cake, surrounded by at least 20 people. I recognized Vanessa's parents, her 2 sisters, her brother, various cousins I'd met at their wedding. The caption read, "So blessed to celebrate our baby's 5th birthday with family. Love being surrounded by people who truly matter. People who truly matter." I zoomed in on the photo, counting faces. 23 people, not including whoever was taking the picture. But not me. I kept scrolling. More photos. Tyler opening presents. Kids running in the backyard I'd helped pay for. Vanessa's father grilling hamburgers on the deck Michael had built with money from a loan I'd co-signed. There was one more photo that made my stomach drop. It showed Michael and Vanessa's parents sitting on the back deck, wine glasses in hand, all of them laughing at something. The image of perfect family harmony. The family that didn't include me. I sat heavily in my desk chair, the leather creaking under my weight. The walls of my office were covered with photos of Tyler. His first day home from the hospital. His first steps. His first day of preschool. Me pushing him on the swings at the park. Me teaching him to fish at Sunset Lake. Me and him building a snowman last winter. Both of us grinning at the camera Patricia had wielded with shaking hands just 3 months before she died. My phone rang, and I almost didn't answer when I saw it was Michael. Almost. "Hey, Dad." His voice was falsely cheerful, the tone he used when he wanted something. "Tyler's asking about you. I told him you weren't feeling well today." "You lied to him." Silence. Then, defensively, "It wasn't really a lie. You understand, right? Vanessa's family came all this way. Did you tell them I paid for your house?" The question came out harder than I intended. "Dad, come on. Don't make this about money." "Then what is it about, Michael?" Help me understand why I'm not immediate family anymore. Another pause. I could hear party sounds in the background. Children laughing. Adults talking. Life happening without me. Look, Dad, Vanessa feels like you're around a lot. And her parents haven't seen Tyler in 6 months. Can we talk about this later? I need to get back to the party. Around a lot. The words echoed in my head long after he hung up. I was around because they needed me to be around. Who watched Tyler when Vanessa had her yoga retreats? Who picked him up from preschool when Michael had late meetings? Who paid for the new roof when theirs started leaking? I opened my laptop and pulled up my bank statements, something I hadn't done in months. The pattern was clear once I started looking for it. Beyond the $100,000 down payment, there were dozens of transfers. $5,000 for a new furnace, $3,000 for Tyler's preschool tuition, $800 for car repairs, $2,000 for their anniversary trip to Hawaii, $1,500 for Vanessa's yoga teacher certification program. I added it up twice because I couldn't believe the number the first time. $142,000 over the past 5 years. More than double what I'd originally thought. My phone buzzed with a text from my brother James, who lived in Scottsdale. How was the birthday party? Send pics. I stared at the message for a long moment before typing back. Didn't go. Long story. His response came immediately. Call me. James answered on the first ring. What happened? I told him everything, my voice surprisingly steady as I recounted the text, the Facebook photos, Michael's dismissive tone. When I finished, there was a long silence. Rich, James finally said, his voice tight with anger he was barely controlling. Tell me you didn't co-sign anything else. The house, and a car loan 2 years ago. Jesus! And the deed? Please tell me your name is on the deed. It is. We were supposed to refinance to remove me, but they never did. Good. His tone shifted, became businesslike. James had been a lawyer before he retired. Don't do anything yet. Let me make some calls. I know a real estate attorney in Portland. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept checking Facebook, watching new photos appear from the party. Tyler blowing out candles. Tyler hugging Vanessa's parents. Tyler wearing a new superhero cape that definitely hadn't come from me. Each photo was another small cut, death by 1,000 pixels. At 2 a.m, I gave up on sleep and went back to my office. I pulled out the photo albums Patricia had meticulously maintained. There was Michael as a baby, me holding him in the hospital. Michael's first day of school, Patricia adjusting his backpack. Michael's college graduation, all 3 of us beaming with pride. Michael's wedding, me walking him down the aisle because his mother had been too sick to do it. I'd been there for everything. Every milestone, every crisis, every moment that mattered. And now I was around too much. The next morning, I met with Sarah Chen, the attorney James had recommended. Her office was in a sleek building downtown, all glass and steel, that reminded me of the corporate offices where I'd spent my career. Mr. Harrison, she said, shaking my hand with a firm grip. Your brother filled me in on the basics. Let's see what we're working with. I spread the documents across her conference table. The deed, the loan agreements, the bank statements showing transfers. She put on reading glasses and studied everything with the focused intensity of a surgeon examining x-rays. This is fairly straightforward, she said after 20 minutes. You're a co-owner of the property with rights to the asset. The original agreement stated they would refinance within 2 years to remove you. They haven't done so, which means the original terms of your co-ownership remain in effect. What does that mean, exactly? It means you have every legal right to sell your stake in the property, or force a sale of the entire property. She looked up at me over her glasses. Is that something you're considering? I thought about Tyler's face, the way he lit up when I walked into a room. Then I thought about the party I'd missed, the casual cruelty of that text message, the years of being taken for granted. What would be involved? Sarah outlined the process with clinical precision. List the property, notify the co-owners, proceed with sale. Because my name was on the deed and they'd defaulted on the refinancing agreement, they had limited recourse to stop it. They can buy out your stake, she added, if they can secure financing to do so, but that would require qualifying for a mortgage on their own, which apparently they couldn't do before. And if they can't, then the property sells, and proceeds are divided according to ownership stakes. In this case, since you provided the entire down payment and are listed as 50% owner, you'd be entitled to half the current market value. I thought about this for a long moment. The house had probably increased in value. Portland's market had been hot for years. How long would this take? We could have it listed by the end of the week if you're serious. I looked out her office window at the city skyline, thinking about Patricia, about Tyler, about the life I'd imagined having with my family. Then I thought about that text message. About being told I was around too much after giving them everything. Do it, I said. The next day, I met with Marcus Wright, the real estate agent Sarah recommended. He was younger than I expected, probably in his 30s, with the energetic optimism of someone who'd never had their heart broken by their own child. Great property, he said as we walked through Michael's house. I'd let myself in with my key, the one they'd given me years ago for emergencies. Northeast Portland, 3 bedrooms, renovated kitchen. This'll move fast. How fast? In this market? We could have offers within 48 hours. He was making notes on his tablet, taking photos. I'm thinking we list at $485,000. You paid $350,000 5 years ago, right? That's a solid return. The numbers felt abstract, disconnected from the reality of what I was doing. This was my son's home. My grandson's room was upstairs, probably still decorated with the space-themed wallpaper I'd helped hang. Mr. Harrison? Marcus was looking at me with concern. Are you okay? How soon can we list it? I can have photos taken this afternoon and list it by tomorrow morning. That evening, I did something I hadn't done since Patricia died. I cooked a real dinner, pot roast with vegetables, the recipe she'd perfected over 30 years. I set the table properly, with cloth napkins and the good plates. I poured myself a glass of the wine we'd been saving for a special occasion that never came. Halfway through dinner, my phone rang. Michael's name flashed on the screen. Dad, what the hell is going on? A real estate photographer just showed up at our house. I took a sip of wine before answering. I'm selling the house. You can't do that. We live here. I'm a co-owner. I can sell my stake. Your lawyer can explain it to you. Dad, this is insane. Can we just talk about this? Like we talked about why I wasn't invited to my grandson's birthday party? Silence. Then Vanessa's voice in the background, sharp and demanding. What's happening? Who is that? It's my dad. He's trying to sell our house. I could hear Vanessa grab the phone. Richard, you can't do this. We have a child. You'd make your own grandson homeless? You should have thought about that before you decided I wasn't immediate family. That's what this is about? You're throwing a tantrum over a birthday party? The casual dismissal in her tone, the way she reduced my hurt to a tantrum, made something inside me crystallize into pure, cold clarity. This is about being treated like an ATM instead of a person. Check your mailbox. The listing notice will arrive tomorrow. I hung up before she could respond. The next morning, Marcus called with news. We have the listing live. And Richard? We already have 3 showing requests. The house showed 6 times that first day. Marcus sent me updates. Young family, very interested. Tech couple, paying cash. Investors, looking for rental property. Michael called 17 times. I didn't answer. Vanessa called twice and left voicemails I deleted without listening to. On the evening of the second day, they showed up at my door. I'd been expecting this. I opened the door to find them standing on my porch, Michael looking haggard and Vanessa with eyes red from crying. Dad, please. Michael's voice cracked. We can fix this. We'll include you more. We'll have you over for dinner every week. Whatever you want. Where's Tyler? At Vanessa's parents' hotel. We didn't want him to hear this. Convenient that they could watch him. Vanessa stepped forward. Richard, I'm sorry. I was wrong about the party. I was stressed about hosting and I made a bad decision. But you can't punish Tyler for my mistake. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm exercising my legal rights to an asset I own. We'll buy you out, Michael said desperately. We'll get a loan, refinance, whatever we need to do. You couldn't qualify for a mortgage 5 years ago. What's changed? They looked at each other, and I saw the answer in their faces. Nothing had changed. They still couldn't afford the house without me. We have an offer, I said quietly. Cash buyers. Closing in 3 weeks. Vanessa's face went pale. 3 weeks? We can't find a new place in 3 weeks. You should start looking. Dad, don't do this. Michael's voice was pleading now. Think about Tyler. Think about what Mom would want. That was a mistake. Bringing Patricia into this. Your mother would be ashamed of how you've treated me. She would never have excluded me from Tyler's life. We weren't excluding you. It was one party. After 2 years of making me feel like I was in the way. After taking my money, my time, my help, and treating me like an inconvenience. I felt my voice rising and forced it back down. I'm done, Michael. I'm done being used. The next 3 weeks were brutal. Michael hired a lawyer who sent threatening letters that Sarah batted away with professional ease. Vanessa started a whisper campaign among their friends, painting me as a vindictive old man trying to hurt his own family. Some of it made its way back to me through mutual acquaintances. I didn't care anymore. The buyers were a young couple named David and Emma Chen, expecting their first child. I met them at the final walkthrough and saw Emma's eyes light up as she walked through the rooms. "The nursery is perfect," she said, standing in what had been Tyler's room. "And the backyard. Our baby will love it here." "I hope you're very happy here," I said, and meant it. The closing took place on a Thursday morning. I signed the papers with steady hands and watched the number appear in my account. $242,500, half the sale price, minus fees. I'd more than doubled my original investment. It felt hollow. That afternoon I drove past the house one last time. Michael and Vanessa's cars were in the driveway, a moving truck parked on the street. I could see boxes stacked in the windows. I didn't stop. Instead, I drove to the storage unit I'd rented the week before. Inside were Tyler's presents, the bike, and the Lego set, still wrapped. I'd asked Sarah about setting up an educational trust for him, something his parents couldn't touch. She'd helped me establish it with $50,000 from the house sale. Tyler would get it when he turned 18. The legal battle that followed was anticlimactic. Michael and Vanessa tried to sue me for emotional distress, for breach of some implied family contract, for anything their lawyer could think of. Every claim was dismissed. The judge's ruling was brief. The plaintiff's father exercised his legal right to dispose of an asset he legally owned. No breach of duty exists. They were also ordered to pay my legal fees. I didn't hear from them for 2 months. Then one evening there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find Michael standing alone, looking older than his 38 years. "Can I come in?" he asked quietly. I stepped aside and let him enter. We sat in the living room where he'd grown up, surrounded by photos of a family that no longer existed in the same way. "Vanessa and I are separating," he said finally. "The stress of everything, it broke us." I didn't feel the satisfaction I thought I would. "I'm sorry to hear that. I'm not here to ask for money or help or anything. I wanted you to know that I understand now. What we did, what I let happen." His voice was thick with emotion. "Vanessa's parents stopped helping us the minute we lost the house. Turned out they weren't as wealthy as they pretended. And her sisters haven't called once since we had to move into a small apartment. And Tyler? He asks about you constantly. Wants to know when Grandpa is coming to see him." Michael's voice broke. "I told him you were sick. I couldn't tell him what I'd done." We sat in silence for a long moment. "You can bring him by on Saturdays," I said finally. "Just Tyler. We can have our own time together." Michael looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. "Really?" "On one condition. We do it properly. Legal visitation agreement. In writing." "Dad, you don't need to." "Yes, I do. Because being needed isn't the same as being loved, Michael. And I need to know the difference now." He nodded slowly. "Okay, whatever you want." After he left, I sat in the quiet house for a long time. Then I called James. "How's the weather in Scottsdale?" I asked. 75 and sunny." "Why?" "I'm thinking about visiting. Maybe for more than just a visit." "Your room's ready whenever you are, brother." I spent the next week preparing. Boxing up items for storage, sorting through Patricia's things I'd been unable to face before, deciding what to keep and what to let go. The house felt different now, like it was already part of my past rather than my present. On my last Saturday before leaving for Arizona, Tyler came over. Michael dropped him off and drove away without coming to the door. The boy ran into my arms, and for a moment, everything else faded. "Grandpa! I missed you." "I missed you too, buddy." We spent the afternoon doing all his favorite things. Building with Legos, reading stories, making chocolate chip cookies that were more chocolate chip than cookie. At one point, he looked up at me with those serious 5-year-old eyes and asked, "Are you still sick?" "No, sweetheart. I'm feeling much better now." "Good. Dad said you couldn't come to my birthday because you were sick, but I wanted you there." My heart clenched. I wanted to be there too, and I'm sorry I missed it. It's okay. We can have another party. Just you and me. I'd like that very much. When Michael came to pick him up, Tyler ran to show him the Lego spaceship we'd built. Michael and I barely spoke, but something had shifted between us. Not forgiveness, exactly. More like the first step toward understanding. After they left, I stood in my living room and looked around at the life I'd built here. 30 years in this house. 42 years of marriage. 65 years of being the person everyone could depend on. Maybe it was time to be someone different. My phone buzzed with a text from James. Found you a great condo near me. Golf course view. You interested? I looked at the photo he'd sent. Modern, clean, full of light. A blank canvas for whatever came next. Send me the details, I typed back. 2 weeks later, I was pulling into James's driveway in Scottsdale. My car packed with the essentials I'd chosen to keep. Everything else was in storage or sold. The Arizona sun was warm on my face as I stepped out of the car, and James came out to greet me with a bear hug. Welcome home, brother. Thanks for having me. Having you? Rich, I've been rattling around this place alone since Martha died. I'm glad you're here. We spent that evening on his back patio, watching the sunset paint the desert sky in shades of orange and purple I'd never seen in Oregon. James poured us each a glass of bourbon, and we sat in comfortable silence. You did the right thing, he said finally, walking away. Doesn't always feel right. The right things usually don't. Not at first. He took a sip of his drink. But you protected yourself. That's important. And you left the door open for Tyler. That's important too. I hope he understands someday. He will. Kids are smarter than we give them credit for. The next morning I visited the condo James had found. It was perfect. Small enough to manage alone, but with a spare room for when Tyler visited. The complex had a pool and a gym, and I could see mountains from the balcony. I'll take it, I told the leasing agent. Moving in took only a day. I didn't have much to move. On my first night in the new place, I stood on the balcony with a glass of wine, looking out at my new view. My phone buzzed with a FaceTime call from Tyler. Grandpa! Dad says you moved to the desert. It did, buddy. Want to see? I turned the camera around to show him the view. His eyes went wide. It looks like a movie. Are there cowboys? Maybe a few. You'll have to come visit, and we'll find out together. Can I? Really? Michael's voice came from off-screen. We'll work something out, Tyler. After we hung up, I saved the call in my favorites and went back to looking at the sunset. Somewhere behind me, in the life I'd left, were all the things I'd lost. My son's respect, my grandson's daily presence. The illusion that sacrifice was the same as love. But ahead of me, in the desert sunset and the quiet evening, and the blank canvas of days not yet written, was something I hadn't had in years. Freedom, space to breathe. The right to take up room in my own life without apologizing for it. I raised my glass to the sunset, to Patricia's memory, to the future I was choosing. It wasn't the life I'd planned, but maybe, just maybe, it would be the life I deserved. 6 months later, I was having coffee with a widow named Susan I'd met at the community center when my phone rang. It was Michael. Dad? Tyler wants to know if he can come visit during spring break. He's been talking about the desert nonstop. Of course. I'll send you the flight details. Thanks. And Dad? I'm sorry. For everything. I'm working on being better. Being the son you deserved. We're all working on being better, Michael. That's all we can do. After we hung up, Susan looked at me with curiosity. Everything okay? Yeah, I said, surprised to find it was true. Everything's okay. And for the first time in a long time, I believed it. The house I'd bought for them was someone else's home now. The money I'd given them was gone. But I had something better. My dignity, my peace, and the knowledge that I could stand up for myself, even when it hurt. That evening, I called the bike shop near my new place and asked them to hold a red bicycle with training wheels. Tyler's visit was still 2 months away, but I wanted to be ready. This time, I'd be there to teach him to ride it myself, under the Arizona sun, in a place where I wasn't too much or in the way or anything other than exactly what I was meant to be. His grandfather. On my terms,